Hello, and welcome to episode 212 of the Arena Regulars podcast. I'm Zach,
And I'm Jeff.
and we're your source for drunken Magic the Gathering arena content.
That's right. Just a couple of regular guys drinking some irregular beers and talking about Magic the Gathering, in particular, the online client MTG Arena.
That is right, and we got lots of stuff to talk about this week. Man, from like announcements to new formats to like spoilers. There's a lot of stuff going on. But first, each week we bring a beer. We drink it, we rate it on a scale from bronze to mythic, just like the tiers in Arena. So with that, Jeff, what is on tap this week?
Really? Gonna make me introduce this one?
You introduce the beer every week. This is just normal protocol, Jeff.
Fair enough. All right. This is called Satan's Pillowcase. It is a pumpkin ale,
Ooh.
and it's from a brewery called Refined Fool, which we have had on the show, but it's been quite some time, Zach. So it's from Sarnia, which is sort of local. It's close. And it's been long enough since I've had their beer that I don't really remember what I think of them. But that also concerns me because I didn't keep up with their stuff.
Yeah, I think we had some of their beers, and we just looked at their website. They don't have any beers that we had drank anymore. So, like, the ones that I
Yeah.
remember in my mind are no longer being made. So, I'm kind of nervous. This was my pick. I'll say it. I'll say it. Okay. If it wasn't very obvious from Jeff's introduction, that it is a tradition on the show that I force Jeff to drink pumpkin ales when we get into the spooky October season. And while Halloween is tomorrow, I thought it would be only fitting that we drink a pumpkin ale and we get into this.
It is fitting. And I will say, this seems to be the year of me trying beers that I've always hated and actually found a good version of them.
That's
Although
true.
one brewery is kind of doing all the heavy lifting on that one.
It is. Yeah, it is one brewery primarily with the maple and the spicy. So hoping that this pumpkin can come in clutch. However, I am a little nervous because it looks like it could easily be like a dark beer, you know. Most of the time, the pumpkin beers that I think taste the best are pumpkin spice beers because they tend to be like thick porters that have just like coffee and pumpkin spices. So it's almost like a pumpkin spice latte kind of thing, but they don't actually put pieces of pumpkin into the beer. Because the ones that just use pieces of pumpkin and hope that that flavor is good enough don't always come out. So we'll have to find out. But it's the season to find out. And then if this is ever on the shelf again, we can just bypass it if we don't like it. But Jeff, quickly, I want to say Satan's Pillowcase. Do you get the name of this beer? I just want to make sure.
I do not know what this means.
Okay. I mean, it's not very specific. It's literally like, I think it's a funny name, Satan's Pillowcase, because this is something I used to do when I was a kid. I just don't know if everybody did this, but it seemed like it was a big deal with me and my friends. That like when we would go trick or treating as kids, we didn't have buckets or pails like the pumpkins. We would bring a pillowcase, and so you go to the door and you hold a pillowcase out, and they give you all the candies.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I usually had a random bag, but I do, now that you mention it, I do know of the pillowcase thing.
Okay, the pillowcase. It's okay. I just want to know if it was well known up here in Canada as well as in Colorado where I grew up. But
Yeah. I mean, you get way more candy that way, right? 'Cause
it's
so
huge.
big.
Yeah, exactly. And you can sling it over your shoulder and walk around with your loot. It's fun. That's a good time. And then you can dump out all your candy and put it back on your pillow and sleep on it, even though it was out all night around a bunch of random strangers and hands and germs and stuff. Uh,
Man, when you said the like whole reference to Satan's pillowcase thing, you're like, I don't know if I was the only one who did this as a kid. I thought we were going down some like cult stuff with you
No,
at
no,
night,
no,
with, like Satan and
No, no.
pillowcases. I'm
So,
like, oh my God, what
yeah,
am
I guess
getting into.
I guess the Satan part of this is it's like an alcoholic beverage, so that obviously if you're giving these out into people's pillowcases, that's a bad thing. You shouldn't don't give alcohol to children. Um, anyway, let's keep moving. Let's get past
That's a
this.
good general rule. Yeah.
Yeah. General rule. But anyway, Jeff, let's crack open this Satan's pillowcase. See if it passes the smell test. Just to,
If if we must.
I think we'll know immediately. Anyway, with that, Jeff, we do have some magic news. Oh, okay. It's smelling pretty good so
right.
far. I'm actually
All right.
I'm
It does
on
smell
board.
good. It does
I
smell
am
good.
on board. It isn't as dark as I would hope, but it is an ale, so it's totally
It
fine.
lines up with what you were saying about like it smells more like pumpkin pie than like pumpkin.
Yes, which is what should be the case. You want a pumpkin pie beer, not a pumpkin beer. Because honestly, pumpkins kind of like they suck in every other form, right? Like pumpkin pie is the best form of pumpkins, and every other one
I
is
do like pumpkin pie, so I can't.
yeah. Pumpkin pie is
Can't
great,
get on you about that.
but like I'm not a big fan of like pumpkin seeds or like. I guess squash is okay. There's something about pumpkin and like you're just so used to them like rotting in your front yard, you know.
Honestly, I'm just not huge on gourds in particular. It's not a
I
big part of my
I
diet.
like squashes and stuff. They're cool.
Yeah.
Like the spaghetti
I don't know if
ones. where
sweet
you
potato counts,
cut
but I
them.
like sweet potato. That's
I think that's just a potato though.
it's just kind
Yeah,
of like similar but better. Yeah.
it's true. It's true. But like the spaghetti squashes where they have like the little bits.
Yeah,
Those are
it's
kind of nice.
nice once in a while.
I guess in like a soup or something. Okay. All right. We figured it out. We got there. Anyway,
Pumpkin soup.
pumpkin soup. Yeah. Anyway, Jeff. All right. Let's get into our magic news.
Beer's actually kind of orange.
It's your favorite color, Jeff. You like orange. Anyway,
I must like the beer.
you must like the beer. There is an Arena Direct event this weekend. So October 31st till November 2nd. We're doing Outlaws of Thunder Junction. Win your play booster boxes. Yeah, good times. Always like these events. I just love that they're throwing everything at us to just make us forget that Spider-Man was ever a set. That's it's so funny.
Yeah, I liked this format too. I played a lot of it. It wasn't, you know, it's funny because we were talking last time about Spider-Man and how it's a really unbalanced set, and they kind of threw an unbalanced set at us with MH3, and I'm like, OTJ also wasn't particularly known for being well balanced.
Balanced. Yeah.
But I liked it. I played a lot of this set. I think this was one of the sets where I pushed to Mythic and Limited just because I just kept playing
just
and I
great.
liked it.
Yeah. We also were training for a tournament and stuff at the time, so that was fun. And I also think, LSV talks about this, but like just because a set isn't balanced doesn't mean it's not fun. However, those formats were not so unbalanced that certain colors were just completely unplayable, like the Spider-Man set,
Right.
which is
Like I was kind of always hoping to be Golgari in
Yeah, yeah.
OTJ.
Or like
but so was a
Abzan or
lot of
something.
people at the table. So
it's like I really hope I don't have to play Is It, but like, if I have to play blue something, I can figure it out.
yeah.
But yeah, anyway, so get your Outlaws of Thunder Junction boxes. Those cards are still standard legal, and they still will continue to be standard legal. So it's what a time to be alive. Anyway, next week, the full card image gallery for Avatar: The Last Airbender is coming out November 7th. So we're just fully in spoiler season. It's fantastic. What a nice palate cleanser. Ugh. Jeff, to be excited about
I love
Magic
how
again.
like every other spoiler season, we're like, spoiler season already. It's absurd and I hate the velocity. And now we're like, this could not come sooner.
Thank
Can't believe it's not
the
this week.
Lord. Yeah. It really does feel like that. And so, like we've said this before, but it's such a weird thing where it's like, yeah, the cadence is too fast, except for when there's a really bad set, and then you're like, please God, get me out of here.
Yeah. It's a complicated problem because the accelerated cadence also increases the likelihood they push out bad sets. So it's like, yes, it's nice that we blow past bad sets, but it'd be even better if there were just no bad sets at all.
Like we had such a good chunk of time besides
Yeah,
like,
really, like years
years.
where I think like we had sets that we didn't like as much, and we were considering like my definition of a bad set had changed so much, where I was
So
like,
much.
you know,
Compared to unplayable to like, I'll play it some, but I'll kind of do some other things as opposed to I'm just not doing that anymore.
and
I'm
then through the Omen Paths really put it all into perspective, where I was like, no, this is a bad set. Those were good sets,
yeah.
just not as good as some of the other
You know what?
ones.
They should have just that's what they should have done for out for Spider-Man. They should have been like, you know what? We should bring back Streets of New Capenna. We should bring back Crimson Vow. Like these sets that people didn't really like. We're like, you know
Yeah,
what? Let's bring them back.
Aether Drift.
Aether
Yeah.
Drift. We'll bring back Adventures in the Forgotten Realms. Just be like, just to remind you of other draft formats that
Of
you
the
like.
sets that you said were terrible. Here's an actually terrible set.
Yeah, yeah. Just to remember that maybe those sets that you thought were bad, instead of going back to the hits that everybody liked. I think that's just
Wasn't that their argument though? Like we make bad cards intentionally so you can learn like what are the good cards. It's like we make terrible draft sets on purpose so
yeah,
that you
so that
know
you
it's
know when it's a good draft set. That's that's one argument that they could take. I would not put it past them, to be fair. Anyway, we don't have to worry about drafting all those other things because we have a new draft format on Arena, and oh man, I didn't really realize that this was going to happen, and there were warning signs, and I even kind of talked about them a little bit when that was happening, but I didn't understand that we were getting it so soon.
yeah.
We have a powered cube on Arena now. It's very similar to Vintage Cube, but on Arena, just there. It's amazing.
Okay, so vintage cube's not my thing necessarily,
Yeah,
but I think this
specific.
is a
Yeah.
great move because there are a lot of people that love it. And in some of the discussions I've seen, a lot of people are like, this is what's tying them to MTGO, is that
Yes.
this is something you can do virtually on Moto that you really can't do on Arena. And they did Arena Cube and stuff, but it's not the same, right? And so for them to bring a fully powered cube experience just completely on Arena, you're going to get a lot of these people that were like, that's just their favorite way to play Magic ever, right? And so you're going to get them on the client and you're going to get them interacting with the client, generating resources. Like they're going to get invested in it. If this is super popular, they'll start offering it more, right? And that
Yeah.
kind of thing. So it's this sort of flywheel that I think this is one of the better ways they could have spent their time because a lot of this stuff already existed, right? Like a lot of these cards were already
On here.
programmed
Yeah.
for Arena because of a lot of the like alchemy stuff.
Yeah.
Uh, but it
Specifically the
exists,
Power
right?
9. Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
so
so
why not just build it?
if you're not familiar, the Powered Cube is specifically talking about like Vintage Cube. Obviously, Vintage is a really old format that kind of can play everything. However, we're dropping Vintage because that's a format that has nothing to do with Arena. New players don't know what Vintage is. If you don't know
Yeah.
what Vintage is, don't even worry about it. Powered Cube is exciting because the Power 9 are in it, and that is bonkers. We have OG duels as well. We got a bunch of different combos, and really ultimately it's a cube about being as unfair as possible and trying to ruin your opponent's day by doing horrible things like wheeling both of your hands while Narset's on the table, by doing infinite combos that mill your opponents out, natural ordering things on turn like 2 that ruin your opponent's day, like things like that, where you're just like going nuts. It's awesome.
And honestly, the like game's over by turn 3 almost all the time fits very well with the arena mentality, anyways, where
Totally.
it's like I'm in and out in an hour of one of
Mhm,
these scripts,
exactly.
like
So
uh,
I highly recommend it. It's a lot of fun. Though, of course, if you're new to the game, it is a very different cube experience than the other arena cubes that we've had. But the number one best thing I think that's happening with this cube is that there are no alchemy cards in it. Zero alchemy cards. There are Omen Path cards. Those don't really count as alchemy cards, but that is the weirdest blemish of the set is that we do have Omen Path cards, which is so bizarre, but no alchemy, which is amazing. Also, no Universes Beyond, which is funny because Omen Paths is technically a Universes Beyond set, but
sure.
because they
Yeah.
aren't Spider-Man skins, they don't count. So you have Gobin, there's like Yera, and there's like I can't remember the other ones right now, but there's a couple random ones.
But I think that's again that makes sense with what they're trying to do, which is get these like enfranchised players who love Vintage Cube onto Arena. And if you flooded it with the things they
Oh,
hate, like Universes Beyond and
alchemy.
digital only cards, they would ruin it for them, right? So
Totally, yeah.
I think this is a pretty clear, like, it's clear what they're trying to do, and I think it's a great idea. So even though I probably won't really play this, I already am hearing from a ton of people in our Discord channel that love it and are playing
It's
it.
our
So
Discord channel has
um,
been like more active just talking about this cube than most things, which is great.
yeah,
So that is really exciting for me. I've been playing it all week. I've been having a blast and losing a lot, but learning, which is great. And it makes me feel it's my number one thing, which is like, hey, I want anytime we can get Magic players more connected is perfect. And because our
mhm,
cube experiences were so drastically different between MTGO and Arena, it just really felt like you could talk about cube in your two completely different worlds because you were. So now when people say, "Oh, I want to talk about cube," like there's much more of a common ground of what we're talking about, which is so nice. And I think a lot of people's biggest complaint about the cube is the price and the prize structure, which is premier draft prizes. So it costs the same as a regular draft, but it's phantom draft, so you don't get to keep any of the cards.
of course.
So like that's how cubes work. You can't keep the cards. But I do have to say personally, the cube prize structure, what it used to be, which is like you win, like it's all cheaper, but you win gold in some packs. I was just never really that excited about winning. It always felt like it just didn't. I just didn't get the same rush of like winning the draft because it just didn't feel like I did very much. It's like, okay, I got more gold to play in the cube again with gold, and it just didn't feel exciting. It's not really what I was looking for. So the fact that you're winning gems and packs from all of Magic's history, plus if you go to the gravy train, which is 5 wins, so 5, 6, 7, you get cube packs, but the cube packs aren't like packs from the actual cube. It's kind of just like a bunch of random cards, and you are guaranteed 3 rares. And I think one of them is a card that could be craftable from the cube. So
Yeah.
they're definitely not as exciting as originally had thought, but I will say that like it matters to me as a drafter that like actually winning means something. So it feels much
Yes.
better.
And if I'm right about their target audience on this one, just think about those types of players. They
That's
don't
true.
want to play for nothing. And there are these enfranchised spikes, essentially. And you're trying to pull them into your ecosystem. So you want to reward them with
The
uh, like a collection. You want to like get them started on their collection in
yeah.
Arena for playing your Arena cube. So I think it all kind of points to them making very targeted decisions that this is the group we're after with this one. We're not after like the previous cube. I wasn't sure who it was for because it was like exactly what you said. I don't want to spend a couple hours to win like 1,000 gold, even though
Hmm.
I'm playing for fun. It's still just like it's more fun for me when something's actually on the line.
Yeah,
It's
it
like
just, and you're also,
Magic for me is a competitive outlet. Like
hmm,
I am a competitive person, and this is one of the ways that
hmm,
I'm able to like, express that. And so playing for nothing is not that fun. It's like going to a poker game with your friends, and there's literally like no money. Everyone just gets some chips or something.
hmm,
And I'm like, can we even put like $5? Like I don't even. It doesn't matter that much.
hmm.
I understand, not everyone wants to have a huge buy-in. I get that, but I want to be playing for something.
Yeah, even if it's just a little bit. And like then if you get to play with your friends a lot, it can be bragging rights and stuff. But yeah,
Yeah,
the
sure.
ones where
I'm
like,
not at that level of poker, right? So,
yeah, totally. But like
which is
just
also
the
funny that I'm like, I want to buy in, even though I don't really know how to play.
yeah.
They're
Hey,
all like, "Oh, okay,
if
we'll play
anyone
for
has,
free." Like
yeah,
piss Jeff off, and then he'll suggest a huge buy-in.
exactly.
Take him for all he's
Um,
worth.
if anyone has a poker game and you're looking for people to, I don't know, take their money, ask Jeff because Jeff is interested
Yeah.
in coming in and losing all of his money to some sharks.
Definitely.
Um,
If you know the odds, I always play the odds, basically.
always play the odds. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
You're like, my bet will exactly reflect my expected value out of this
Mhm.
pot. You could probably, if you were good enough, you could figure out exactly what my hand is based on my bets.
Yeah. That would not be me. I will. I'm just horrible at poker. It's so I don't know enough about
I,
it.
I also just get bored, right? And I try to
Hmm.
accelerate things. Like after an hour or two, I'm just like, all right, I've had a few beers. There's always like some cool sports game on that I'm
Oh,
not
totally.
watching, and the
It's
people
like
who got knocked out are watching.
and
They're
they're
having
having
the
a great
best
time.
fucking
Yeah.
time. And I'm just like, all right, I'll in. I'm like, I won.
See,
Oh no.
Jeff, that's what I try to do with commander games, where it's like, all right, my deck can kill one person. I'm going to kill the person I want to go get a beer with, and we'll hang out and we're going to have a great time. And you two can just duke it out or whatever.
Well, you should explain that to me. I'll play Commander with you. We'll just you knock me
Exa-
out, we go get a beer.
We then why Jeff? We could just go get a beer though. See, if you play Commander against me and I knock you out of the game, it's because I'm trying to go get a beer with you. Just so you know,
Yeah.
just
It's
anyone
the
out there.
greatest of compliments. The greatest compliments I can give,
I
actually.
sit down at a table and I look around and be like, who's the person that seems the chillest that we could go hang out and drink beers? Because like as soon as I knock you out, everybody else is going to kill me, and then we can go together.
Yeah.
Anyway, uh, yes. So there's another thing that we need to talk about. It's very small. It's mainly because we were talking about historic. I know you wanted to play in the qualifier weekend that's coming up. But there was a bunch of alchemy rebalances that happened recently. Now, normally we don't talk about this on the show. It's not really something we care about. A ton of alchemy cards got rebalanced. Luckily, they're all alchemy, except for one, which was VV. They just changed it so that instead of being a zero ability, it's a tap ability, and it completely nerfs the card, which is exactly what it should have been.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah. But the reason I'm bringing this up is because two cards are being unnerfed. They're going back to their normal printing, and that is Meat Hook Massacre and Fires of Invention. So these two cards were recently rebalanced, and then they went out of standard, and then they were their rebalanced version for Historic and Timeless and Brawl, as well as the cube. Like, that is so annoying because now you're just like, oh, I'm stuck with this like weaker version in these like older formats that have way more powerful stuff going on. Why can't I just use the real card? Like, that's really annoying.
Yeah.
So now they finally are going back, and I would like them to go through and do that with more cards because it moves us further and further away from alchemy stuff. And change those cards basically as soon as they're out of standard or out of alchemy, even just be like, change them back like immediately. Like, I don't
Yeah.
see why you just wouldn't, personally. But I'm really
I
happy
agree.
to see these things. I praise them anytime they do something good. I think this is a great change. It slowly makes the other cubes a little bit better. as well as any of those historic. I mean, like, it doesn't seem like they're actually the reason that they're unnerfing them is because they're not going to do anything to the actual metagame.
Yeah,
But
that's
I
what I was
think
about to say.
it's
Based on what I know about the historic metagame, I don't think
mhm,
this is a very safe thing
yeah,
that they did. But I uh like the pretext that it
hmm
sets here,
yes,
which
that
is
like you should just revert them all back.
when we nerf something because it's too good in standard, we can revert it for older formats when it
Mhm.
rotates out. Or
And
alchemy, whatever.
yeah, with alchemy, that's in like the 2 year format or whatever. Anyway, that's all I want to say about that. I'm just happy to see that, and that's enough
Agreed.
alchemy talk. All right, but Jeff,
Oh, it does make me want to complain about one thing,
ooh, I want to hear
which
your
is
complaints.
I decided that I will not be participating in the historic event.
Qualifier, okay.
And it just required way too many wild cards. And I was
Hmm.
like, I don't know if I'll, even use this again. So it's really a lot of wild cards for just for one event. But I was hoping to be able to play something
Hmm.
that weekend. And it was the qualifier play-in
Hmm.
historic. And then the other sort of, they usually do an event on top of that for a weekend. And it was also a historic event. It was the historic, like if you win,
Oh,
you win
metagame
like
challenge.
70 packs. What are those called? Yeah,
Hmm.
metagame challenge. And on the one hand, I understand, oh, you can practice in the metagame challenge and then go play in this thing or whatever. But it's just like, it felt like I logged into Arena. My only options are like Spider-Man Limited and Historic
Hmm.
if I want to play something with some stakes. And I don't want to play either of those two formats. And I really think it's a mistake for them to align the two like big things going on in the weekend
Hmm.
with the same constructed format. And it happens occasionally. Usually they don't do it, but this time I just logged in. I literally just logged right out. I
Hmm.
was like, okay, well, I don't want to play any of this. So,
So let's
like,
go. Let's get out of
standard is
here.
gonna.
It's
Sorry, I was about to say standard is gonna rotate soon, but standard is about to face a huge change. I
there's
don't
a
really
big
want to
ban.
play
Yeah.
it.
Hmm.
Historic is not a format I enjoy, and it's not a format I play.
Hmm.
And it's the only two big events are that. And I don't enjoy the current limited format, so I guess I'll just log right out.
Hmm.
Like, I logged in hoping to play some Magic one
That does
night and
suck.
just
Yeah.
looked at my options and turned right around.
Yeah. You're not the only person that I've heard that from either. I've heard that from other people that are like kind of like coming, oh, yeah, I'll come back and see what's going on. And they look around for a second and they're like, you know what? I'm not going to play a game. And they leave.
Yeah,
So that's
I don't want to
not
play any of
good.
this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So obviously, all these other things that we're seeing, like the powered cube, and I mean, that's not for you, but like just in general, we're getting more stuff going on and a new set is on the way. Like, things plus we have our band announcement. It's just like we're in a weird thing this October.
But it would also feel different if it was like, oh, you can do this historic event or you could do Powered Cube. Like,
Right.
then I'd be a little less frustrated because I'd be like, okay, it just happens to be a few different options and that like
Hmm.
intersects exactly with the things I don't like.
Yeah.
That's fine. But this was like, we're really trying to force you to do
Yeah. Like,
this thing. And
as
it's
opposed
not what I
to
want.
yeah, as opposed to having the historic metagame challenge the weekend before and then doing the qualifier
Right.
that
Like,
weekend or whatever, the play-ins, so that you can like move things around and maybe there's like a
plus the
standard one
metagame
or
challenge is
pioneer.
not good practice for a competitive event. Like if you ever
No.
played in those metagame challenges, you face completely random stuff and because
Hmm.
it's gold buy-in and it just doesn't need to be the same format for the two things going on.
True. It's true. I agree. I agree with you. I'm sorry. That sucks.
Should have been Pioneer. That's all I'm saying. If it was a
Well,
Pioneer metagame challenge, I would have played it.
Jeff, this is actually something that I want to talk about as well. I know I want to get to the spoilers, but Pioneer, as we know it, is kind of dead.
It's dead, yeah.
Yeah, the Tulare Community College, the professor put out a video talking about how it's dead on YouTube. And I hadn't realized when we had last talked about Pioneer, we were hoping for some tournaments in the new year that were going to be Pioneer. But it turns out they're already announced and they are not. None of them are. So that's 2 years in a row. There are no major Pioneer tournaments, which is like a big bummer. Like,
That basically just means it's dead, right? Like,
it's got to be. Like, I can't believe the devs spent so much time putting Pioneer onto Arena, and then literally as soon as it's on Arena, it's useless. Like, it's just, there's nothing you can do with it. And it's because Standard is 3-year rotation, and there's 6-7 sets every year. It's basically like,
right.
it's basically Pioneer. It's like the same shit. Like, it's just long Standard. It killed Pioneer. That's basically what happened.
And I think the merge of Explorer and Pioneer is also like it kind of tied Explorer to Paper Pioneer's fate, which Paper Pioneer was in this weird spot where people in Paper just want to play. Like Paper players in some sense are boomers. They want to play Modern, and the new ones want
Oh,
to play
sure.
Standard. So Pioneer was in a weird spot paper wise. And then digitally we Explorer was like its whole goal was to coalesce with Pioneer. And Explorer was like my favorite format. So it's sad. But I think you're right. I think this is basically just gonna get phased out in a way.
Which sucks because, like, if something on Arena should get phased out, I think it's historic, personally. Because I think they should just make Timeless that. Like, Timeless should just be the old format.
Right,
We don't need
timeless and
two old
historic are too
formats.
similar. Right? Like
It's like one just doesn't have fetch lands and ban stuff. The other one restricts things. But, like, just make Timeless the old format on Arena and then make your tournaments Timeless tournaments. It takes place. It takes like the place of Modern, kind of. So just do that, or really Legacy because of the strip mine shit. But like, why?
yeah.
Why do we have?
ban strip
We just have too many. We have too many formats. Something has to go, but I don't think the Pioneer was the one that has to go.
Yeah, agreed.
It's just ridiculous. Also, give me all like year-long popper queues, but that's for another day. Anyway, Jeff, let's talk about things that are exciting about Magic. Things that are coming up that's a breath of fresh air, something fun, something nice, something good. Let's talk about Avatar: The Last Airbender. Jeff, are you a fan of Avatar: The Last Airbender?
I only know of its existence.
Okay, so
I know it's very popular and people love it. I've never seen anything related to Avatar.
all right. I was kind of in your shoes, but when the set was getting closer, I had a couple friends who were very close to me who felt like secret Avatar fans that I hadn't really known or I didn't know about.
All came out of the woodwork.
I was like, oh my gosh, you guys are so excited for this. This is crazy. Not to be fair, I had known from years before, but kind of just glossed over it. So I decided to give it a shot. I watched the whole series and was very pleasantly surprised with it. And I think that you as a father, as your kids get older so they can kind of understand what's happening in the show, it is a great family-friendly show that like it is fun, but it does tackle some interesting stuff. And they do a very good job. And when people talk about masterpieces, I'm not going to put my stamp that it's a masterpiece on it personally, but I really, really liked it. There's a lot of good stuff in there. And as an adult, you won't get bored. I personally think the early episodes start to feel like maybe you're watching something that's for children, but that's because they are literal children. And then as the show progresses, even if in that season, and then for the next 3, there's only 3 seasons, they go on a whole journey and everything changes and they grow up and everything becomes more adult and it's very good. So I am now excited for the set.
We talking like like Bluey good? Or are we talking?
I think that there are hints of Bluey. I think Bluey's more succinct and more like you can watch an individual episode of Bluey and be like, awesome, that taught me the lesson that I wanted and all those kinds of things. This one has obviously because it's more like narrative, there's more longer stories. It takes longer.
Mhm.
But I do think that there are some great lessons to be learned in it that are there's a lot of amazing redemption story things as well as how to deal with your problems and some of your emotions and things. Uh, I think Bluey probably does a easier job of like hitting it right on the head. But as your kids get older, I don't know if they'll be as excited about Bluey as like we are. So
It's like
this might be a good
they're not even
replacement.
excited about it now, really. It's like my wife and I are like, let's watch Bluey. They're
And
like,
they're like,
okay, yeah.
okay, mom and dad. Oh, it's their favorite TV show.
Yeah. They're just not far off.
Yeah, yeah. Anyway, I do really like it. It's worth a watch. And the fact that it's only 3 seasons, 61 episodes that are 20 minutes long makes it easy to be like, all right, we can watch it and then we've watched it. As opposed to some of the TV recommendations, which are like, I'm sorry, you want me to start Doctor Who? Are you
Yeah,
serious?
jeez. See, I thought it was kind of like that. Just
Mm-mm,
because it's such a name, right? I thought it was like a Dragon Ball Z or something.
mm-mm,
You want to
mm-mm.
watch all of Dragon Ball's, or sorry, Dragon Ball Z. Um,
No, 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 no.
like
Dragon
you
Ball
want me
Z.
to watch all of it. Like, or when someone recommends that I read The Wheel of Time, and I'm like,
Is it
I'd love to, man, but like I'd have to turn back the Wheel of Time to be able
to
to
do
have the free time to
time?
be able to do that. You're talking about
Yeah,
like 15,000 page
it's
books or whatever it is.
insane. Yeah, I'm not asking you to watch One Piece, which is like thousands of episodes or whatever.
Yeah. Although I hear that game's pretty good.
I have heard good things about the game, though I don't think it's for me necessarily. But anyway, sorry. That's my mini rant about Avatar as an adult watching it for the first time. Being like, hey, when this had originally came out, I remember watching some of the early episodes and being like, I think this isn't for me. I think it's a little too kiddish, and is putting it down. And then as I grew up, I was like, I have found the distinction between kids shows and family shows. And this one feels more like a family show, while I would consider a kids show to be like Teletubbies or like Coco Melon, where it's like this is
Yeah, yeah,
made to be colors on screen, or
yeah.
like Dora or Blue's Clues, where it's like you keep talking to me and breaking the fourth wall, and it's driving me crazy, and
Right.
I can't do it. Which Bluey doesn't do. Thank God. Thank God.
Um,
Anyway,
no, a lot of people have tried to sell me on Avatar, and it's just never really stuck. But this has been the pitch that might work.
I think
That I can watch it with my kids and we'll all enjoy it. That's the
once,
key to actually getting me to watch it.
yeah, maybe once your kids are closer to like, 7, 8 range, that might be the sticking point that you could possibly get there.
All right, then I will retroactively appreciate these cards.
Exactly. Yeah. When magic is crazy. And yeah. Anyway, Jeff, let's talk about some Avatar The Last Airbender cards.
Cool.
So we have 4 new mechanics, obvious ones. Everybody kind of knows what these do because technically we got spoilers for this in July, and me and Jeff just decided we are not talking about it until the sets come out. But
We're just too excited about Through the Omen Paths.
that wasn't even the set. It was Edge of Eternities.
Oh shit.
Edge of Eternities. Remember, these cards came out the weekend or like a couple days before the pre-release for
Yeah,
Edge of
yeah,
Eternities.
yeah, for that. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so we have the 4 major elements in the show that are turned into mechanics. So we have airbending, earthbending, waterbending, and firebending. And I think, honestly, I think they did a pretty good job with all of these. They're all quite interesting, and have a bit more going on than they first than it first seems when you look at them, which makes me very excited to play the set. I don't know, like let's start with airbending. Let's just start right here. So I've kind of picked out two cards, Jeff. I'll read the first one, and then I'll give you the second one.
Sure.
But I'll basically explain airbending with the card Airbending Lesson, which is 2 and a white for an instant lesson at common. It says airbend target non-land permanent, which means you exile it, and while it's exiled, its owner may cast it for 2 generic mana rather than its mana cost, and you get to draw a card. So, sorry, draw a card is part of this spell, not part of airbending. So yeah, this is kind of like a bounce spell in white, or like a pseudo removal spell, but they get to, like, you know, it just goes to exile. They get to recast it. They get all their ETBs back and all that stuff. But you can also save your own things. It doesn't interact with lands. This specific one doesn't, but I think most of them don't, which may matter. But it's an interesting way to give white a removal spell that isn't like really giving your opponent anything. It is taking tempo. It feels kind of blue, but at the same time, we have so many white spells that, like, put this in exile, it costs more or whatever.
Yeah. Plus, it's flicker, right? Like, this is essentially flickering, but
Your own things, yeah. You just have to pay more.
I think there was a point in time where this would feel like a blue spell, but I think we've sort of established that this is white now. I love this. Airbending is my favorite one, so we started with
Oh, okay.
my favorite, which I don't think is that surprising. I've been playing a lot of this type of effect, but guess what? Guess what, Zach?
What?
Let's suppose there was like a flicker wisp, but it airbended instead of doing what flicker wisp does.
Interesting. I'm
And
listening.
somebody cast Dubious Challenge. Okay. And
I
so
don't know what that card
Emrakul.
is, Jeff. What are you talking about?
Okay, so Dubious Challenge lets you look at the top. You reveal the top 10 cards in your library. Your opponent chooses 2 creatures. They choose which one they get and which one you get. And let's suppose they found an Emrakul
Mm-hmm.
and it's torn, and you found Airbender Flicker Wisp. Well, traditionally with regular Flicker Wisp, you would just flicker the Emrakul and get it on your side of the battlefield.
Mm-hmm.
With airbending, you now get to cast it.
For 2.
And
Oh,
Emrakul has a pretty cool cast. Like a lot of these
that's true.
Eldrazi have cast triggers.
Mm.
So to me, this just really, really tells me they're printing Dubious Challenge because, like, why else would you print a mechanic that works so well with Eldrazi and Dubious Challenge?
I think that, you know, Wizards has had many, many opportunities to bring Dubious Challenge to Arena. And I don't, you know, Jeff, I think that in the Avatar set, there are 61 cards that are like source material, borderless versions of reprints. So it's like a scene from the show. There's one for every single episode, and they have a reprint of something, and we just with new art that's from the show. That is your best bet at getting Dubious Challenge onto Arena.
All right, fully expecting it.
All right, I will try to dangle that in front of you while knowing the answer fully.
No, but airbending is pretty cool. It's like there's so much play to these types of effects, and I think making you pay 2 for it is actually genius because these effects tend to always skew towards you do it to your own thing because the like rebuying ETB triggers, like all of that stuff ends up being better than I don't know, whatever you like phasing something out of combat or whatever. But the adding 2 to it really balances that equation where now it's like, oh, it's actually effective. It's actually a full turn of tempo instead of like kind of a half turn that the
Yeah.
previous ones were. And it's not free for me to flicker my own thing.
Yeah.
So, flicker effects have always had that. They've always been like 80% you're flickering your own stuff, and 20% of the time you're using it to like stabilize.
Hmm.
But you never really want to use it that way. This really feels like, oh, it's a, this spell kind of does both equally well instead of I'm really good at one thing and I can kind of do the other if you need me to.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's pretty interesting because airbending in general kind of reminds me of that Avon from is it called Avon Interrupter? No, that's not right. From OTJ.
And, right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the it's like one white. You can flash it in, but basically you get to put something into the plotted zone, and then they have to wait a turn and then cast it for free. This kind of reminds me of that in a way. They can still do it on the turn that that it
But doesn't
was
that spell also
airbended.
work well with this? Because can't you, is it Aven Interrupter that lets you cast spells for cheaper?
I don't
There's
remember
something that
if,
they designed that was like, it was meant to let you cast plotted spells for free.
but you always cast plotted spells for free. So did you just plot it? I can't remember. It's let's look it up very quickly. But it gives me that vibe, right?
Oh
Yeah, it
no, it
says
makes them cast more.
yeah, it says spells your opponents cast from graveyards and from exile cost two more to cast. Right.
Right. So
So
if you airbend them, it costs four. That's what I was thinking.
right. So if you have Aven Interrupter and you airbend something, it costs more. That is actually pretty cool. I That's pretty
I like
interesting.
that.
I
I
like
like
that
it.
a lot, especially because almost all of our airbending cards are, well, white. Now, airbending lesson is kind of like it's a, easy one. But Jeff, is there something more interesting, perhaps, that we could talk about with airbending? That another card that's a little bit more advanced.
Sure. Let's talk about everyone's favorite Bison ally, which is Appa, Steadfast Guardian, 2 white for a 3/4 legendary Bison ally. It has flash, it has flying, and whenever it enters, airbend any number of other target non-land permanents you control, which once again means you exile them and you can pay 2 to recast them. Whenever you cast a spell from exile, create a 1/1 white ally creature token. Oof. That's a house for 4 mana. You flat like we've been talking about white weenie decks being weak to wraths. How about this one?
This is sweet. I think this card is pretty sick, and it is the kind of spot where you would want something. 4 mana is exactly the range where you're like, okay, I could stretch to play four. 5 is a little too much,
Yeah,
and being able to do this either re-get some of your ETBs and make a bunch of allies, or just save all of your stuff, and then Appa goes away. I don't know. This this is exciting, but it does kind of show you the other side of like this one only lets you airbend your permanents, so that
yeah.
like the versatility of the airbending is kind of taken away with this one a little bit. But I love that it just kind of gives it to you. You know what you're getting, and even if you just wanted to just like flash this and airbend one thing that you want to ETB, I think that's just cool. It's also non-land permanent, so if you are playing this in pixie-ish stuff, if you have some enchantments or artifacts that want to, I don't know, be recast or re-enter the battlefield,
Totally.
this lets you do that.
Yeah.
So pretty cool.
Like a lot of white removal is enchantment
Is it
based,
enchantments
so
and stuff? Reset those. I don't know.
yeah.
I think it's pretty sweet. Pretty nice. I think airbending is cool, but it's not my favorite one. But I'm glad you're immediately planting your flag. The best.
Yep.
The best.
I didn't say it was the best one. Just
Okay, sorry. It's just your favorite. Okay. That's good. That's good to know. The next one is earthbending, which earthbending and airbending are opposites in the world, as water
okay.
and fire
Good
are
to know.
opposites. It just kind of makes sense. But what's interesting is that, well, I'll get into that in just a second. But our first card to explain earthbending is Badger Mole Cub, which is 1 and a green for a 2/2 creature badger mole at Mythic. It says when this creature enters, you can earthbend 1. And earthbending is target land you control becomes a 0/0 creature with haste that's still a land. You put a +1/+1 counter on it, and when it dies or is exiled, return it to the battlefield tapped. Great. I love that ability a lot. I think that's super nice. It fixes all the issues you have with land creatures because it has haste, so you don't have to worry about the actual land that like the one that you played for the turn you want to attack with it or whatever. Don't have to worry about that crap. And you don't get stone rained when your creature dies. It just comes back. So fantastic. Super on board for Earthbend. But Badger Mole Cub has one other ability. It also says whenever you tap a creature for mana, add an additional green.
Oof.
So this is a 2-mana 2/2 that creates a 1/1. So for 2 mana, you get 3 power worth of stats, and that land now taps for 2 mana. This is awesome.
I just love the design of this though, because you can, if you kill the land creature, it does turn off the double tapping, but it doesn't turn on, it doesn't just stone rain them, like you said. But then you could also just kill this, and then it also turns off the double tapping. But they could have a follow-up. They could have another one of these, right? So it actually is really interesting which one you, let's say you have a, like a -2/-2 instant speed spell here. It's like, which one do I want to kill? I don't know. I just think the design here is really, really
Yeah.
well
It's
thought
weird
out.
because, yeah, if you kill the land, it does obviously come back. If they follow up with the second one, then they have another land, and that taps for 3 mana. And so then, yeah, I don't really know what the answer is. But this card, I think in general, looks really strong just as far as cards go. I think all the creatures that also earthbend, I mean, that's a... Love it. Like, that's great. That's great right there. Big fan of that. And
I wonder what happened with Earthbend, right? Because like they've had this ability so many times, and I wonder if it's just that thing where the interns in the office being like, "Well, what if they kill it? It just comes back."
and they're like,
Oh,
huh.
yeah.
Oh, maybe that's totally fine. Yeah, I don't know if it's like, because I think in previous iterations in the lore, it's like, oh, this is an elemental creature that has been created or whatever. But in Avatar, it's just, you're just a person. Like badger moles are the original earthbenders. And so it's just like they taught people how to earthbend. But it's just people moving stones around. Like there's no life in the stone. It's just someone is there doing it. So that's why it's like, oh, when you destroy the thing that's attacking you, it just goes. It's just earth again. It's not gone. As opposed to other lands. I don't know if it's like literally a flavor thing. But that does bring me to what I was trying to say before, is that airbending, specifically almost all the cards are talking about non-land cards, because you have to cast them again, right? And you can't cast lands. And so then if you have a bunch of like earth-bended lands, you can't airbend them to save them. Or you can't airbend your opponent's earth-bended lands because it just doesn't work. Which is a really interesting thing, that these two that are supposed to be opposites don't work together.
Yeah. Yeah, that feels like an explicit design decision that they
Yeah,
made.
it's like these just don't work. Which is another tiny plot point in the show where Aang has the hardest time with earthbending because, well, it's the opposite of what he does.
An airbender.
Yeah, airbender. But
The last one, I hear.
he is the last one, but that's because the Fire Nation killed all the other ones. Yeah. So, yeah. But Jeff, I have laid up another card for you that I think is kind of cool.
All right. The card we're going to talk about is Boomy Unleashed. 3 red, green, 5/4 legendary creature, human noble ally with trample. When it enters Earthbend 4,
Holy
Yowza,
crap!
that is a lot of earthbending. And whenever Boomy deals combat damage to a player, untap all lands you control after this phase. There's an additional combat phase. Yeah, only land creatures can attack during that combat phase. I figured that's where we were going. Um,
Yes.
Very cool card. First of all, Earthbend 4.
5 mana for a 5/4 trample, Earthbend 4?
Yeah.
Like,
So, oof, you get to get in for 4 right away, and you're threatening a
if
hell of a lot more.
if you, to be fair, it's only right away if you it's turn 6 because you will tap your lands to Earthbend. So
Right.
that is a
Oh,
thing
right.
that,
Earthbend doesn't untap. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
so that will happen often where like if you're hitting your curves with your
You're
creatures,
you're holding this to 6 though, right? Like
it would be nice if you held it to 6, so that you can smash in for 4 immediately.
I feel like if my opponent plays this on 5, my read is often going to be that they have another one in their hand. Because like who's doing that?
Yeah.
Actually, I don't know, maybe because if you kill the land it just comes back. Maybe it's not that bad, right? It's just
I
like a
think it's
5/4 trample and a 4/4.
yeah. And so if they kill Boomy, you still have a 4/4 and you're like that sucks because I wanted to go crazy. But honestly, this card, I'm not even that excited about the like extra combat part. I'm most excited about I attack you with a bunch of stuff. I might have like I have my other earthbended land. If it dies, it enters tapped. But if I deal any damage with Boomy, I just get to untap all of my lands and just get I get
And
2
obviously it
turns worth of
has
mana.
trample,
Like
right? So
I don't know. That's the exciting part where it's like even if I don't use that extra combat to attack with my lands, I got to play something before combat and then untap all my lands and then play something else. Like that is good enough for me. I feel like even if I'm not attacking with that 4/4 again, I'm like sick. We did it. We got to like sort of feast
yeah,
and famine or
and
whatever.
yeah, I hadn't really considered that use case. I feel like generally you're just gonna kill them with a bunch of land
Well, it would be
creatures.
nice if he could kill them, of course. But like even if you don't is what I'm saying. Is that
Yeah,
even
you
if
still
this
get you
is
still get to play another thing
I
or
guess what I'm
whatever.
saying,
Or
like,
like
even if this is like an empty board where it's like literally you have
mhm.
Boomy and the 4/4, you attack on the
I wonder
following
how
turn.
off I wonder how often it is gonna happen that you like attack with Boomy, they have to
Hmm.
trade with it or whatever, and then you get to untap and play it Boomy or whatever,
Oh
where
my God.
it's
I mean, that would be disgusting. Also, in that situation with earthbending, it does specifically say target land becomes a creature, but I'm fairly certain you can just choose the same creature and put 4 more counters on the same thing and make an 8/8.
Mm.
Like, I don't think when you play the Badger Mole or any of the Earthbending 1 stuff, you have to just pick different lands. I think you could just pick the same land and be like, that land gets 4 more counters.
Yeah, it just says target land you control becomes a 0/0 creature with haste.
Exactly. So it like,
It's
it,
still a land. Put X counters on it. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
There's no reason you couldn't choose something that's already a creature.
exactly. So I think that that is pretty cool. Personally, I think Earthbending's awesome. I don't know if it's my favorite, but I think it's going to be so cool, especially in draft. I'm going to have a blast with Earthbending. There's
That's what literally what I was about to say. I have no idea if earthbending is good or not. I my gut instinct, just from playing a lot of Magic, is that it's a really strong limited mechanic
yeah,
and probably not good enough for constructed. But as we've said before on the show, reading cards before playing them and trying to assess them is the ultimate way to make a fool of yourself
yeah.
because
It's so hard.
possible.
It's impossible.
Um, but that's my gut reaction is like, I'll be looking to draft this, and I'm not necessarily looking to build a deck around it.
Totally. Yeah. 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 It's like this looks like an amazing draft rare, and fairly nothing in standard. A little too attacky, but I think it's sweet. Ugh,
Yeah.
what a cool thing. I mean, obviously, I'm more focused on draft rares, to be fair. So
Although the Cub is definitely standard playable,
the
right?
Cub,
Which is
the Cub is 100% standard playable. It could be like there's a couple cards that are like, wait, the kid version is the better one. Like there's an adult version of this, and the kid version is the best.
yeah, I was about to comment on that earlier because I was like, there's Badger Mole right next to Badger Mole Cub. Badger Mole is a common, and Badger Mole Cub is a
Is a
mythic rare.
mythic, yeah,
It's like they couldn't have made it as
any
larger
more
discrepancy.
obvious, yeah. But yeah, Earthbending. I think I'm the most excited to see how it turns out.
Mm.
But I'm still, on the fence. But
This
next
reads
up,
like a fantastic limited mechanic to me, though.
for sure, for
Like
sure.
they fixed it for limited.
It's it yeah. And it has all the stuff of like, yeah, you can't just it's not like, oh, play this creature and then you get a token that's a 4/4. It's like, no, you have to use your land and then you kind of lose that land from being mana producing if you want
Yeah,
to
you're
attack with
almost
it.
stone rained for having the creature.
Exactly. So so it's like,
If
oh,
the
is this
creature dies, you're unstone rained.
yeah. And so you have to decide like, oh, am I attacking with this turn? Am I blocking with this turn? Or am I tapping it for mana? Which is kind of what we talked about when we were in Edge of Eternities, where you're like, is this a creature attacking, blocking, or crewing, or stationing, or whatever?
Yeah.
It kind of is like that. Is my land attacking, blocking, or tapping for mana? I love that tapping for mana feels like the third thing.
I feel like we're heading towards a magic zone where everything is everything. You know what I mean? Like lands are creatures and enchantments, and
Yeah,
the
yeah, and
creatures tap for mana, and land enchantments tap for
well, I
mana.
mean, creatures have
It's
tapped for
also
mana
an
forever,
instant
but
and a sorcery.
that, I guess, to be fair, yeah, that's the thing. Once we start having things that just do multiple stuff, they're like, hey, we need a resource system where we don't have to try to worry about land so much. It's like, what if everything does that, but it doesn't even need to be played face down or whatever? It's just like, yeah, this
Yeah.
card can do that, but just worse than other cards. what a weird, what a weird thing. Anyway, let's move on to waterbending. As we continue through this, I will continue to read the less exciting card, and Jeff, I'm giving you the most exciting one. So
If you insist.
I did pick all the cards though, so they're exciting to me, maybe not to you. Anyway, to start us off for waterbending, we're going to look at an uncommon Katara, Bending Prodigy, which is 2 and a blue for a 2/3 legendary creature human warrior ally. It says at the beginning of your end step, if Katara is tapped, put a +1/+1 counter on her. Okay. And she has Waterbend 6. And then it says you draw a card. So 6 generic mana, but while you're paying a Waterbend cost, you can tap your artifacts and creatures to help. Each one pays for 1 generic mana. So you could use Katara to tap herself for the waterbending cost to draw the card, as well as all your artifact tokens or artifacts, and of course, lands.
Yeah.
So I think waterbending seems pretty interesting. I like the tapping of things. There's a bunch of cards that care about like when they become tapped or if they are tapped. It also weirdly goes along with some of the survivors that we had from Duskmourn if you're going into standard. So adding more ways to tap things could be kind of interesting, though. There's a lot that we already have stations and crews and stuff. But as far as waterbending goes, I like the feel of it.
It's interesting. I feel like Wizards R&D goes through phases of experimentation. And, like I think when I first really started paying attention to this is when they went through their we make artifact tokens phase. And like, what's the best artifact token to make? And just like every set had a different artifact token. And now I feel like they're really going through the tapping creatures outside of like paying you off for tapping creatures outside of combat payoff phase, where it's like there was Survivor and there was like that
The Boros mechanic from whatever Edge of Eternities and web or web slinging and yeah.
Right. And even stationing and now
Hmm.
like water bending and they're just like, what can we really do with that? And I'm starting to think like this is an explicit thing that they go through where they're like, let's have a throughput for like a year or a year and a half of it just tapping your creatures without attacking with them is a
Hmm.
thing you can do and you actually get paid off for.
And want to do, yeah.
Yeah. And this mechanic I like. It's interesting. It's essentially improvise convoke, but for
Hmm.
an activated ability,
Hmm.
which is cool. I It's a little weird for me to wrap my head around like convoke becoming a strictly blue ability.
Yeah,
Um,
totally.
but the fact that they threw artifacts in there, I think like gives them
Feels
that
really blue.
leeway because they're like, we did
Yeah.
this with improvise. Don't forget that.
Hmm.
Um,
And it feels like, yeah, you
but
have a bunch of trinkety artifacts that like you can still use even if they're tapped, like equipment and stuff. So you're like, oh, I'll tap a bunch of these things, draw cards from
yeah,
whatever. I don't know. It
I think
seems,
it feels all right, but it's
I
just
think it
like,
feels all right.
the boomer in me is like, hey, that's a green white ability, man.
Yeah, it's all green white all the time for convoke stuff.
But it is a green white ability that I really liked.
Mhm.
And fun fact was designed by Richard Garfield.
When he came
So
back for
Convoke is
Ravnica, yeah,
Convoke's kind of an all-timer, and
yeah,
I like the way that they're using it here. I think it's cool.
I agree. But the card that I think this card's pretty interesting. I think it's partly because of the TV show that made this,
Okay.
like watching the show made me look for this card to be like, there's got to be something about this. I want to see what it is. So Jeff, what's our other waterbending card?
All right. So the card is Secret of Blood Bending, which is blue, 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 blue. For a sorcery lesson, as an additional cost to cast it, you may waterbend 10. So when you cast this is very convokey, right?
Hmm.
When you cast it, you may tap 10 artifacts and or creatures
Or lands.
or lands. Well, sure, yeah, but
Yeah,
I guess you can always tap lands to
yeah. Of
cast something.
course, yeah. Just like
Um,
if people forget that you can also just pay mana like you normally would.
right, okay. Oh, with this card, that's super fair. Yeah, yeah. Okay,
Hmm.
so you control target opponent during their next combat phase. If this spell's initial cost was paid, you control it during their next turn instead. And then, of course, the safety clause, exile Secrets of Bloodbend.
Hmm.
Okay.
It's I think this card is pretty interesting because like sometimes we get a you control your opponent during their turn cards, which is like Mindslavers, the obvious big one. There's like was it Worst Fears or Worst Nightmares or something? It's like a black one. But having this card that says, "Hey, you could control their whole turn, but we all know the one you really care about is their combat step. What if you just
Yeah.
control them during their combat step? What would that look like for 4 mana? It's all blue, so it's really hard to cast. But what could you possibly do, especially with Jeff? What you were just talking about, which is tapping all of your creatures for a bunch of random shit. Is this like? It's almost like sleep, but you get to choose more about it and run creatures into other creatures, or I don't know. There seems to be
Right.
so many interesting things you could do with this card that isn't just control their turn. It's like, no, I control you only during your combat step. What a weird thing. I think it's so cool.
Yeah. And what you touched on there is what I was like loving about it as I read it, which is I can tap my creatures to take control of your whole turn. But often I don't want to tap my creatures to take control of your turn because I want to run your stuff into my creatures in an inefficient way for you
Hmm.
so that like all the blocks are great and all your stuff dies. And so I love that it's like, I could still do that. I could just take control of all of your like creatures during your combat step. but you might be able to waterbend yourself and
Hmm.
tap all your creatures so that I can't attack with them if I do
Hmm.
that, right? So it's like, I think this, in my head, this really interesting, like, waterbending battle where you're like,
Hmm.
oh, I'll take
You're
control of your
both.
stuff. And you're like, haha, I tapped them all for,
Hmm.
this other thing. And um, I think you could get into some really very interesting boards or like airbend some of them away so that I can't actually attack with your creatures and into
Yeah.
mine. And I think you could get into some very interesting bending like
Hmm.
battles here. Like, earth bending too. Like, ooh, am I gonna attack your earth bending creature into mine? Because then you do get the land back, like
Yeah. Or do I actually want all your creatures tapped so that I get to attack you on my next turn? You also still control your opponent during combat. So you do get to play cards from their hand if they're instants or have
oh,
flash.
that's interesting. I didn't really think about that. I was just shortcutting to like I get to choose attacks and like
You still
damage
get to
assignment and
you get to
stuff.
look at their hand, you get to tap their mana. So like they know it's coming because it's a sorcery. So
So
maybe
you just tap them out in the because so they have to do something in their first main phase because you tap
totally.
them out in the combat
you're
phase.
gonna
Okay.
you're gonna tap them out no matter
Yeah.
what. And so they need to either use their removal and stuff before that, if they have it. I don't know. It seems kind of interesting. It's just I've seen blue cards say you skip your combat phase or there's like a card from Mirrodin that makes them skip their draw, their main, or their combat phase, and like I
Right.
always loved that card. So this kind of reminds me of a little bit of that. I don't know. Secret of Bloodbending is such a cool card that I don't think is great. Like, I don't think that this card's good. And I don't really know if it's worth playing in limited or in constructed, but I think it's really cool.
I think it's very cool. I think it's a tough sell and
It's a tough
constructed.
sell. It's
And what's
definitely a
it's a unplayable and limited, I think.
pretty,
Um,
yeah.
but
4 blue is a lot. And yeah, I just don't think it's going to get there, but that's why it has its moment right now, because I know that I won't be able to talk about it ever again because I'm not going to pick it in draft and I can't play it in standard. Like maybe you can play this in Commander, I guess that's where it might live, but the way Commander's moving, it kind of feels like a lot of things are getting pushed out randomly, so
choosing target opponent feels weak there too, where
it
it's
does.
like, yeah.
Yeah,
I
so
guess it's fun in Commander where it's like, oh, I choose you and I attack this person.
that's true. I guess that's true. You get to attack a different person. And then the whole time you get to say, "Hey, no, I didn't kill you. They killed you. That wasn't me." And
Yeah, the
so,
person do they have to pretend like they thought that person had
yeah,
made that
yeah.
decision? Like,
Like maybe if they want to be on flavor, that's when you start to move into like D&D Commander land, where you're like,
yeah. Hey, I think there's big overlap in those two.
I think that that could be pretty interesting if we start getting in like role playing Commander world.
Yeah. It's like, okay, but you don't know that I forced them to attack you
Yeah, exactly.
unless you roll above 18 on
Yeah, on the 6-sided dice.
the No, no. Yeah, yeah,
Oh
you don't
no,
know.
you don't know. You don't know. Sorry. Anyway, I think waterbending's pretty cool. I think it'll be a mechanic that works in limited, but it's still not my favorite one.
Okay.
Yeah,
Wow. Save the best for last,
I
did we?
did save the best for last personally, and I'm gonna start us off with firebending. This is Azula on the Hunt. This is 3 and a black for a 4/3 legendary creature, human noble at uncommon. She has firebending 2, which means whenever this creature attacks, add red red. This mana lasts until the end of combat. So firebending is when your creatures attack, you get mana only during your combat phase, which I think is really, really exciting and interesting to me, especially because I want Magic to be revolved around combat, and
Yeah.
this is exactly what I'd like. Azula also has another ability that says whenever Azula attacks, you lose 1 life and create a clue token. Clue tokens cost 2 mana to crack. She gives you the 2 mana when she's attacking. So you basically just attack with a 4/3, lose a life, draw a card every turn. That's pretty nice. But also, if you have something else to do with that 2 mana, you could just leave the clue tokens around for other things. I don't know. Maybe you want to waterbend something. I think this is so cool that firebending and waterbending actually work together because you're attacking with creatures in combat. You can waterbend using the firebended mana plus whatever other stuff you have around. I love that so much because, as we were talking about earlier, airbending and earthbending are opposites. They actually don't work together, but fire and water are opposites, and they do really work very well together. Like, almost all the stuff is awesome. Like, there's some spells that you don't get to waterbend because you can't cast them in combat, but all the ones on the board, all the, the Katara that we saw and other things, those work perfectly fine in combat. If you're like, oh yeah, my like blue red deck or like my blue black deck or whatever, boom. Like, if you have firebending and waterbending, match made in heaven, and I love it. I think that's so great. And I think Azula on the Hunt perfectly encapsulates exactly what that is, where it's like, you can either crack the clue right now, get your card, you're fine. Rakdos decks will be super happy with that. Or maybe you just waterbend some stuff, make some more clues, get some more tokens, do some stuff. I don't know. I just like that a lot. The possibilities seem very exciting to me.
That is awesome. I hadn't really considered that. Do you want to know the cool thing that I thought of when I first saw this?
Yes.
That I think works super flavorfully, but also mechanically in a similar way, is I love firebending plus fire breathing. Which, for those who don't know, fire breathing is like a famous sort of mechanic. I don't even know if it's like actually a mechanic. It's just you would say fire breathing. But fire breathing is when a creature has 1 red mana, add +1/+0 to my stats. And add +1 power. And so the fact that this adds red mana that has to be used in combat, I just picture this person like bending fire into this like dragon's mouth to really like hit you for extra damage. And I think that synergy of flavor and mechanics just works super well. I don't know if that occurs in this limited format, like if there are fire breathers in limited format, but I just think like just makes sense to me as a broader magic thing. Fire breathing's like goes all the way back to alpha. That dragons have this
Shivan
ability
dragon,
that
yeah.
that you pay a red mana to add 1 to their power. And firebending is just a great way to do that, where it's like, hey, you get this mana, but you have to use it right now. What am I going to use it on? Well, I'm going to pump up this stat, baby. And I just picture this like fire mage kind of funneling into this dragon. I think that's super cool.
All right. I didn't know if you're going to bring up fire breathing, so I didn't have this one locked and loaded. But there is a card that is spoiled right now that's kind of explaining exactly what you're talking about. That's very cool and very obviously flavorful for the set. Ran and Shaw is a red rare. And so these are twin dragons. I'm just going to read this card for you. It's 3 red for a 4/4 legendary creature dragon at rare. It has flying and fire bending 2. And it says when Ran and Shaw enter, if you cast them and there are 3 or more dragon and or lesson cards in your graveyard, you create a copy of Ran and Shaw, except it's legendary. Okay? And it also has an ability that says you can pay 3 and a red. Dragons you control get +2/+0 until end of turn. So if you do get the copy and they both attack together, they both have firebending 2, which gives them enough mana to both pump up both of their powers. And instead of attacking for 8, they attack for 12. So cool. And
love it.
It's just like, yep. These, like I was saying before, the Badger Moles were the ones that invented earthbending. These dragons are the ones who invented firebending. And so it works perfectly where it's like their firebending helps them breathe fire, and and run the world or whatever.
Amazing. Yeah, love that.
Maybe not specifically these dragons in general. I actually can't remember, but dragons in the world did that. But I think that that's a cool card, and the fact that it all like works back into the card into itself if you did the thing, and I don't know. It's just such a cool design. I think they just did such a good job. I like really like it.
Yeah, all of these seem very well designed.
Yeah, very flavorful. Very like, oh, how cool, how nice. But anyway, honestly, what is the heaviest hitters? Jeff, can you read the last card for firebending?
All right, the last card for firebending. Ozai, the Phoenix King. Did I say that correctly?
You
Ozai.
did say that correctly, yeah.
2 black, black, red, red for a legendary creature, human noble. It's a 7/7 trample, firebending 4 haste. If you would lose unspent mana, that mana becomes red instead. And it has flying and indestructible as long as you have 6 or more unspent mana. Whoa, okay.
This guy,
That is a beating.
this guy's crazy. This guy, like, gonna do like nothing in standard, but in draft, I think this is what you were hoping to open, because this really feels like that. There's something about 2 black, black, red, red that just says, hey, if you're losing the game, not anymore. Like,
Yeah.
like I don't know what Wizards decides on mana cost, but there was a card in Edge of Eternities that had the same mana cost that said, "Oh no, you're
Stupid
winning."
Mutiny one.
Yeah, you win again. You win again. And Ozai basically says, "Hey, do you have one Firebender that does Firebending 2, which is a lot of them do Firebending 2? Sick. You win." Like,
Yeah.
the game's over. You win the game. It's just the haste is
Yeah,
crazy
the
on
house.
this card. Oh, and it's just like, let's just keep mana around all the time. For
My
whatever.
original criticism as I was reading through it is like, this guy looks like he flies, and I hate cards that look like they fly but don't. And the original keywords are trample, firebending, 4 haste. And then I get to that, I'm like, oh, okay. So he does fly.
So he
Got it.
does fly.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. He in fact he does fly. Yes. God.
I was like,
what
this
a
guy
freaking-
looks indestructible, but he's not. Oh, no, wait.
He is. He is. Yeah. What a freaking crazy. What a crazy card.
I hope this accurately reflects his power level from this series.
He's the final boss. Yeah.
Okay.
So. Yeah. He.
This reads ultimate bad guy
Yeah.
design. So
Yeah, he is. He was the Fire Lord, but then once we get closer towards the end, this isn't really a spoiler, but he wants to be the Phoenix King, which is ruler of everyone, not just the Fire Nation. That doesn't really matter very much, but that's why he's called the Phoenix King, because he just declares that he's like, I'm going to be the Phoenix King now, and everyone's like, okay, cool, good,
yeah, that's a shame.
yeah.
Actually, that feels really similar to what's happening right now.
It's well, and yes, and I do feel like if you watch the show, there will be some parallels in that sense, where you're like, oh gosh, people.
Yeah. I used to think this was outrageous that no one would ever go along with this, and now I'm like, yeah,
Yep, people will do that.
yeah, checks out.
Yeah. Anyway, ugh, so cool. So firebending is the one I'm most excited for, primarily because I always have a soft spot for combat tricks and funny, stupid things in combat, and it gives attackers more agency and strength, just going up against blockers. So I do enjoy that as well. beat him
I
down.
think it's another great limited mechanic because it's just
Hmm.
like it's all on the table, right? It's like, okay, I'm gonna add this and I have to use it during combat. It's like
Hmm.
I think it narrows what you're playing around a little bit on the other side because like
Hmm.
it has to be a combat trick. But I
Yeah,
think
or some sort of instant
that's
speed
a
removal
good
or
thing,
something.
right?
Yeah. Yeah, and I also think
Yeah.
like it really says any like red or black card that's an instant like goes up in stock. And
Right.
so like instants are going to be like much more interesting than sorceries where you're just like, well, every turn I attack and I have a bunch of this random unspent mana I don't know what to do with. I wish I had instants.
Yeah, it gives me a little bit of raid feeling when people used to attack and
Hmm.
you'd be like, are they just trying to trigger raid or like they have something to,
Use this mana on
make
or
them win this combat? This is a little more like they probably have something, but
hmm.
that bluff territory still exists where
It's
it's
true.
like,
I mean, like to be fair, we didn't see one. I mean, like we kind of saw one with Azula, but there's a lot of firebending cards that have activated abilities. So then you'll be able to like you attack in,
it's
and
the
it's like,
threat of
oh
activation
yeah, it's like, are they
built
just
into
trying
the
to
card. Yeah.
activate it? Some of the activations are like put a +1/+1 counter, but some of them are like deal 1 damage to your opponent, and they're like, or do you have a trick to beat me here? I can't really tell. I
Right.
don't know what's going on here.
And I played a lot of games with Raid that's like when you attack, deal one. And I'm like, what do they have? Why would they do this? And I just block. And that's it. They just wanted that one damage. I was
Hmm.
like, okay, glad I blocked.
You're
So
like, great.
I think there's going to be a bit of a similar feeling.
Yeah. Unless they have Ozai, and then you're just dead. You just know that they're.
Yeah. And then I'm like, well, I played
That
my
was a good
best.
game up to this point.
Yeah.
Um, any Rectus opponent that's getting up in there in mana and hasn't killed me yet must have an Ozai in their deck.
Yeah. I'll just concede.
I
Just
will just
concede to
concede. Just
Rakdos on turn six if they haven't killed me yet.
yeah. Well, that's what you should be doing, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, Jeff, before I didn't get to mention, but fire breathing, yes, is not a keyword, but there are auras that are called fire breathing that
Yes,
grants
that's
that such an ability. So classic, as they have done with many other things. But I think adding the word fire breathing to a card is just more complicated than just doing.
yeah. Yeah. It's a complicated enough mechanic that it's not worth keywording and just
But
explained it every time.
yeah, but we get to hold it in our heart forever and explain to all the new folks who haven't heard of fire breathing before. Hey, it's well, it's usually one red mana, but nowadays it's all sorts of different
Could be
manas.
anything. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, which kind of sucks, but
Could be two for two, could be for
yeah,
three, could
but you
be
still
two
kind of
for
can.
one. Those ones really suck.
Those
Two
suck
mana
so
for
much,
one for plus one plus one. Ugh.
but Jeff, are there any other Avatar: The Last Airbender cards you would like to discuss before we? I don't know.
The only one is that like I was really hoping to see this card and I haven't seen it spoiled yet. It's a reprint, but where's my mind bend?
Mind Bend.
Are you familiar with Mindbend?
Let
Oh,
me
it's an
let me
absolute
remind
classic.
myself.
I'll read it for everyone. So,
Okay.
Mindbend is a blue mana for an instant. It says change the text of target permanent by replacing all instances of one color word with another one, or one basic land type with another. This absolute staple of my childhood. I loved this card. And I thought that as long as we were bending and like different colors of mana and stuff, this card would certainly make an appearance in this set. So I'm just waiting patiently for this one to be spoiled. They probably want it to be like the big hook at the end. Like,
Totally.
yeah, and
This
yes, we
I,
brought
I,
back.
Jeff, I will say that Mind Bend is a staple card in Dan decks. So it is actually a card that is more expensive than you would think it is, and could use a reprint actually. Um,
Now's the chat. Now's the time, man. Now's the
yeah,
time. We're
yeah. So
talking about
maybe it's
bending and
on
colors.
the bonus sheet alongside Dubious Challenge. Perhaps it's
Yep,
coming to
that's, I
standard.
mean,
I mean,
yeah.
what would we do if Mind Bend came to standard? A rare Mind Bend came to standard.
People's minds would bend.
They would. They'd be like, "What is happening here?" And we'd be like, "This is what Magic used to be."
I used to love this card
I
because
used to love this card.
there were very powerful things you could do with it, but 99% of the time it did nothing.
Yeah.
But there were some extremely specific and powerful things you could do.
Which is so funny after going and playing like Powered Cube, realizing like there's a lot of cards that in Magic history that do kind of nothing without the other card.
Yeah.
And then when you have the other card, then it's crazy and you win the game. But if you only have one of the cards, you're like, well,
It's a very old
can't play this
school
one.
design philosophy.
Which I kind of like bringing back every now and then, you know, just like, hey,
There was some stuff about the old school design philosophy that I miss, but generally they've gotten better at designing Magic.
well, definitely better at draft for sure. Because draft used to be just atrocious.
Yeah.
So much happier with that, but yeah, maybe they, you can't have one without the other, right? It's like either you have a weird constructed format where it's like there's very specific cards and stuff, and your draft format sucks, or your draft format's good, but you need good draft rares, and those could crack into standard and actually do stuff.
But for people wondering about Mindbend in particular, they really used to print hate cards. So something that would be like, oh, if like islands don't untap or whatever, or like destroy all islands, or like just forests don't untap. And so the idea of this was like you get to turn their hate card against them because it was always symmetric. It was never like your opponent's islands don't untap. It was like islands don't untap. And then you would mind bend this so it says forests don't untap or whatever. And they would hamstring themselves. So this was like an awesome card back in the day, and now it reads like a very useless card. But
Yeah,
it was
like what? Why would you ever want to just change the type of your land? I don't understand.
yeah, why would I want to change a card that says island to say forest or whatever?
Well, it kills
Or,
their Dan. That's why.
or like whenever someone plays a red spell, they take 1 damage, or whenever someone plays a blue spell, they take 1 damage. You change it so that it's whatever they are playing, right? So this card was very cool. Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
it was very
Yeah,
cool.
it sucked, but
Very cool. It also worked with all the circles of protection and stuff like that. So,
yeah.
which were very prevalent to white decks back in the day, so that you'd be able to attack through their circles of protection red or whatever. Anyway, cool stuff. Honestly, if you haven't noticed, I'm pretty stoked for the Avatar sets. Watching the show really got me juiced. And as all the cards are coming out, I'm so excited to talk about all of them. So I'm glad I get to share a little bit of it with you. Hopefully I don't, spoil so much that it's like not worth watching.
I'll watch it, but we're a few years away.
It's a few years away. Also, if you don't, that's okay too. But I want to put my 2 cents out there. But I also do really enjoy like cartoons that are easy to watch. Currently watching King of the Hill for the first time, and that has been a wonder. I've really enjoyed that.
This is a very interesting time to watch King of the Hill, I think.
Well, it's really funny because it's making me feel more connected with people, quote unquote, on the other side of the aisle. Because obviously King of the Hill, if you don't know King of the Hill, it's a cartoon about a very Texan man. But in the show, he's also like very dedicated and like he's by the book. And he most of the time does what I would consider the right thing to do, even if his viewpoints aren't always there at the beginning. And not in a way that like seems like, oh, he hates this or hates that, or there's not a lot of hate with him. He's just kind of, He's like, I'm going to work from 9 till 5, and I will not leave until 5 o'clock, and then I will go. Like
Yeah.
that's just his character. But I don't know. I think that they do a pretty good job, and some of the stuff that they're tackling, I'm like, I was not prepared for this episode about drag queens to actually hit me in the feels and be like, oh my god, you guys did such a
Yeah.
good job, like juggling this topic, which I thought in the 90s or early 2000s would have been very misused, but great, great job, King of the Hill. Freaking rocking and doing great representation. I was like, this is okay. I like this show now. I was like,
Yeah.
all right, I'm on board. I'm on board.
It's kind of like how The Simpsons was prophetic, right? Where it's just like predicted so many things that ended up happening. Uh, but I'll always remember King of the Hill as one of my favorite jokes of all time, which is not to spoil it, but he's like fixing, I think it's just fixing his door, and his WD-40 won't
Oh,
work properly, and then he has a smaller can of WD-40 that he sprays at the nozzle of the bigger can of WD-40, and it's just like such a simple thing, but it's just like very relatable and very like, dude, that was just so funny. And I
it's
always remembered that exact scene, and nobody says anything. He just kind of like shakes the smaller can. Yeah. And Friends has a similar thing of like Monica
I
vacuuming
was
the
about to
vacuum.
bring that
And
up. I was literally about to bring that up where she's vacuuming the vacuum and saying, now if I have a smaller vacuum for this vacuum.
yeah,
But that's pointing a little bit too much of a flashlight on it. I really enjoy the just have the joke and don't say anything about it. Like let
yeah,
it,
that's what I loved about it. That's it. He
yeah,
just
just
like,
let it. It has legs. Let it do the work. And if
yeah,
people like it, they will. If not, who cares? Like we don't have to
right. You don't
explain
need
the
to
joke.
like, yeah. If you need to explain the WD-40 joke to somebody, then they won't appreciate it.
Yeah, yeah. What I really want is a WD-40 joke with a duct tape joke. So you have to use duct tape to hold the WD-40 together, and then it's too stuck, so you have to use WD-40 to then get it a little looser. Um, or it just keeps going and keeps going, which would probably be more of a Family Guy thing. But
Yeah.
but no,
Dude, my house had like my bedroom door when I first bought my house, it was squeaky. So I was like, okay, no problem. I know how to fix this. I've seen King of the Hill. So
yeah.
I WD-40 the hinges, and now the door, it will not stay open. Like if you open it, it just swings shut. It's been years, and it's just like it just will. You have to like prop it open now. And my wife is so mad at me because I was like, I can fix that. Yeah. She's like, it's just a little squeak. I barely notice it. I'm like, I got it. I got
I
it.
got
And
it.
now it's just like this annoying door. Just I'm like it. I'm sorry. They made too good a product. It
Yeah.
lubricates too well.
Yeah. Do you take like some of the dust or something out of the vacuum and just rub it against the hinges just to crunch it up a
Yeah,
little
I'm
bit?
just like trying to like jam something in
Just
there.
like
Like just
drop some
stop it.
sand or something?
And it was literally just like psh,
Yeah.
once 3 years ago.
Yeah.
This fucking door will not stay open.
God, I love that about WD-40. It's so good. Oh. Anyway, yeah. I'm excited for the Universes Beyond King of the Hill set whenever that comes out. That'll be
Yeah,
great.
that'll be great.
They're
Right
already
after the
doing
Mortal Kombat one.
yeah, Mortal Kombat. That's another great thing. But the new artifact token is just a propane tank. It'll be so good. Like you
I'm waiting for.
pay 2 mana, it deals 2 damage to something. It's perfect.
I can't wait for. Yep,
Yep.
yep.
My wife, her
Like a
main
counter
one,
spell or something.
yeah, is the Bwah! His whenever something crazy happens, that is her favorite sound from the show.
Yeah, that tracks.
Yeah, but we're like
See Catherine do it.
we watched like a bunch of the later seasons, and now we've kind of jumped to kind of the early middle, and so we're really just jumping all around. But I think that would be a pretty interesting set. I would like to see that. As we're now just in the universes beyond land, it's like, well, all right, give me
Yeah.
what anything.
Hey,
Give it to
if we're
me.
gonna be here, we might as well theorize what we would
Exactly. What we would like would be great. Would be
my
awesome.
love to
Like,
become magic sets. What would they
yeah.
be?
What are the best ones? Like that's all I'm asking now. But I guess time will tell. We'll have to see.
Yeah,
Anyway, Jeff, are you ready to go to last call? It's time. It's
I am.
truth time, baby. All right. As always, we rate all of our beers on a scale from bronze to mythic, just like the tiers in Arena. However, this has nothing to do with what tier you are in
I can see
currently,
that.
because every beer, or sorry, every person, every beer is in a different tier. Every person is in a different tier at a different time.
Yeah.
So this is just, don't feel bad when we say the bronze beers are trash. They're horrible. You spit them on the ground, you pour them out, you don't like them very much.
Silver beers are bad or just kind of boring.
Gold beers are fine, but you wouldn't drink them again.
Platinum is solid. You would totally drink it again.
And diamond beers are exceptional. You like these a lot, and you show them off to your friends.
And mythic, these are the best of the best. These are the chef's kiss. These are the air bending of the magic mechanic world.
Airbending.
Yeah.
All right, whatever.
Just saying the best one of the mechanics we talked about.
Yeah, yeah. You said your favorite. The best one's firebending, obviously. It turns out it's earthbending, and we're both wrong.
Yeah. Oh, if we're talking power level wise, actually, I don't know.
I don't know either. Anyway, Jeff, what did you think about Satan's pillowcase?
Um, it was, I think when I took my first sip, all I could think was cinnamon. I don't know if you got
Okay.
that, but it was very cinnamon forward for me. Which is when then I was like, oh yeah, okay. We're going down the apple pie route.
You mean the
It
pumpkin
was
pie?
yes. I said apple pie because I said cinnamon, but yeah, pumpkin pie is what I was thinking of. Um, it kind of tapered off a little bit because you get kind of used to the cinnamony flavor and stuff. And so I was left with a beer that had pumpkin pie characteristics, but I felt the beer backing it up uh, was a bit lacking for me.
Interesting.
So I actually liked it more than I thought I was going to. Normally, I'm like, I want it to be a good beer and then have something interesting on the top. I would say this wasn't that, but I didn't hate it. It was kind of like we have this base beer, and then we have this kind of pumpkin pie thing that's in your face. Um, but I didn't hate that. It it was all right. Yeah.
Hey, there we go. Let's go. That's that's what I wanted to hear.
But I don't know how much pumpkin I necessarily got. Like a lot of this was, like I was saying, very much the cinnamon and the
Yeah, and the
sugar and
nutmeg and stuff. But I mean, but that's what
yeah,
we're
the
talking
nutmeg.
about. That's what we're talking
Yeah,
about, Jeff. Right?
yeah,
When they market pumpkin, I want them to be actually giving me pumpkin pie. If they give me pumpkin, I'm sending it back.
yeah,
Right?
yeah.
They have to say pumpkin ale, but if there's actually just pumpkin in it, I'm gonna be mad.
And they can't use pumpkin spice because that's too basic.
Yeah. What am I, a woman? Just kidding. But like, but yes, that's the marketing campaign is like that's not you're not marketing to the right demographic, and
Right,
so it has to taste like pumpkin pie, but you can't say pumpkin spice. You have to say pumpkin ale.
right. We want our version of a pumpkin spice latte,
I
but we
want
just don't want it.
exactly that, just a different name. That's what I want.
Yeah,
Though to be fair,
right.
pumpkin spice
I,
lattes I don't drink just because there's milk in it, and that always makes me feel awful. But
I, I just drink black
I
coffees.
just drink black coffee. Yeah. If you though actually, Jeff, I just recently bought cold foam for my coffees.
Oh, okay.
My wife has been getting a bunch of like special coffees, and that's been a fun thing. They're like one special coffee of the day because she's pregnant. So She can have one caffeinated beverage. And so she's like, oh, I really can't waste it on anything. Not perfect. But I got her some cold foam, which is essentially whipped cream, but it has different flavors. And so I will have to come back to explain. None of it's pumpkin, so I don't really know why I'm bringing it up right now. But it is the kind of thing where I'm like, okay, having a black coffee with some flavored cold foam on top could be something I could be interested in. Possibly. As we come into
I'm curious.
wintertime. I have a peppermint mocha, which I do enjoy peppermint chocolate things. Minty chocolate stuff is something I like. I don't. You don't like it. Yeah. My wife also doesn't really like it. And so the two most important people in my life don't like it.
Although I have a feeling I'm going to be ousted soon.
Very soon. Yes, you will lose that title. But anyway, so I'm excited to try that. But I do have to say, Satan's Pillowcase really given Flying Monkeys run for their, like, making them run for their money, because like I still remember that beer from like episode 3.
Yeah, years ago.
And years ago.
It was COVID times. That was a different time.
It was. We were in person for that one. And that was like the best pumpkin beer I'd ever tasted at the time. But it was also like basically an imperial stout.
It's very different than
this. It was very different than this one. But this has got to be the best pumpkin ale I think I've tried.
I wanted to hate this, and I just didn't really hate it.
I have drank 2 of them, and I wish I had more, and I probably can't find any more because they're probably gone. But all the other ones, it's one of those things that like in the pumpkin patch in the beer aisle when you're looking around, and you see they put them all together. This is probably the only good one, and the other ones are bad. That's why I'm very happy with this. So like
it was good. It was good.
I think it's pretty good. The thing is, like, how good is it though? Like next year, I'm gonna look for this one next year. So, because then my wife can actually have.
Here's the thing, like, I would recommend this to people if this is what you're looking for, right? Like,
yes.
I think this is where our rating system doesn't totally line up, because it's like, this is solid and I would drink it again, but I would also recommend this to people. Is it exceptional?
So maybe the question, I personally think it's exceptional. So I'm going to give this at least diamond. I'm on the edge, buddy. I'm on the edge.
Okay, I was on the other edge. I was like expecting this to be silver, bronze territory. Yeah. And as I drank it, I was like, it's at least platinum. And I'm like, is it diamond?
God, it might be diamond.
But I don't want to admit that Zach was right.
Jeff, this is the main thing right here, okay? Would you recommend this to someone who doesn't want pumpkin beer? That's the main thing. Because if someone's looking for pumpkin beer and you give them a pumpkin beer recommendation, that's not diamond, right? Because that's just you giving them good advice. Because you're like, the best pumpkin beer you can get is this one, even if it's not that. But if you recommend this beer to someone who either doesn't like pumpkin beer or isn't looking for it, then I think it cracks into the higher ranges.
So you're saying if I have a conversation with someone and they're like, no, I've never had a pumpkin beer that I liked, would I bring this one up? I would. I would
bring this up. I would bring this up for sure.
I would do that.
I would be like, you should drink Satan's Pillowcase by Refined Fool.
Oh, right. It's diamond for me. It's diamond.
Yes.
Which means good. It tasted really good.
This is like a spooky caveat. I'm going to give this Mythic just because this is the best one I think I've ever had that was this style. And it is the benchmark for, if you're not as good as this or better, this is the best one I've had. You know? Like, yeah. And even though I like the Flying Monkeys one, and I kind of thought if it's not 10% and drowned with like sugar and like all the spices and stouty and just
Right,
beefy.
yeah, they threw everything at it.
They
These
threw
these guys had
everything at this. This one's cleaner and crisper and like, ooh, you were walking a finer edge here. And I'm good job.
but as soon as you take a whiff, you definitely get like this. For me, it was cinnamon right
Spiced.
away, but then it was like, yeah, that whole pumpkin
So
pie thing that we talked about, and then it tastes like a beer, man. It tastes
like
good. I
Jeff
just
would
think there's a little more malty body we could have had in the
totally.
background.
It's
But
true. It's true.
it was
For
good.
you, I loved it. I wish I had another one. Mine's all gone. So
I actually kind of wish I had another one too.
I drank 2 of them. I wish I had 4 more. Like I'm just sad. So anyway, that's enough about pumpkin beer. I could go on forever about pumpkin beer. I
Hey,
have.
but does this? Hey, maybe we gotta check out Refined Fool again because we were saying we kind of
That's true.
lost them in our. They fell off our radar.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they're back on the radar now.
Maybe we got to go pick up a bunch of Refined Fool stuff to see. Maybe their other stuff is like this. But hey, Jeff, 2025 has been a pretty crazy year. You've liked a pumpkin beer, a spiced chili beer, and a maple
Ugh.
beer. Are
happening to me.
breweries getting better? Or are you just settling in into just accepting everything I'm giving you? After all these years, being like, you know what, fine.
Who knows, man?
Who knows?
Maybe you were right all along. I'm just maturing. You know.
I don't know if that's true because I've brought some questionable beers to the podcast. So
Zach's beers are either like mythic or bronze. You know, swings for the fences.
That's how you should do, and how I hope the Blue Jays do this weekend. As the
Hey, no, they won by manufacturing some runs. Man.
it's true. That's true. But I still like walking out there first pitch of the game, just cranking it.
Oh yeah, that's true. That was sick.
Just like I'm gonna start the game with a home run. How about that?
Let's just start up 2-0. And
That sounds amazing. Oh god.
suddenly our pitcher looks way better than last time he did.
Anyway, yeah. Ugh. So excited. So excited for this weekend of the World Series. But anyway, Jeff, let's close this out. It's been a long episode, but it's been a great one, as always.
Let's pretend we're a closing pitcher here and just like
Just knock it out.
1, 2,
All right.
3.
Boom, boom, boom. Closing time. You can always reach us at Arena Regulars on Instagram and Blue Sky.
May also see us on Arena itself, username Arena Regulars Podcast.
If you want to talk to me personally, you can find me at @theregular_Zach on Instagram and TikTok. I'm also on Twitch Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 10 to 2, as I do. Regular Zach over there. But Jeff, where can they find you?
Best place is our Discord channel. Honestly, it's awesome if you want to talk about the new vintage or powered cube on Arena. We got some people telling you how to win that, right? Trust me, that thread is blowing up. We also have standard, we have draft, you can post your wins. It's a great community. And once a month, we do a peasant arena cube draft, which means you can use up those common, uncommon wild cards. And I don't want to say that cube draft is powered, but it's pretty powerful. And
It's a
lot of fun. And honestly, just come join, hang out, have a good time. The link is in the show notes.
That is right. Also, please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. Follow us on Spotify. Leave us a review there as well. Go to our YouTube channel. Give us a little comment. Do a little stuff. We'd really appreciate it. But mostly, we want to talk to you and hear your thoughts on the show. We very much appreciate it. And we'd like to hear from folks that like what we're doing. This has been the Arena Regulars.
Reminding you that I guess pumpkin beers can be good.
Yeah. Good night. All right, that's fine.